Mike McFall is the co-CEO of Biggby Coffee and an author who is here to give us practical tips and a guide to starting a new business. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Jessica, how are you?
Doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I'm really thrilled to talk with you and just kind of gain some nuggets from your experience. So I know that you are an author of a book called Grind, and you have a new book coming out over the summer, which is super exciting. What is the title of that book?
It's called Grow.
Grow. Okay, grind and grow. I love the flow. And so, Mike, just start off by sharing with us a little bit about your journey.
Well, we've been at this thing a long time. We started Biggby Coffee back in March of 1995, so we just crossed our 28-year anniversary.
Wow.
But we've been doing great, and we really feel like we're just getting started with the whole thing, which is pretty cool after being in it for 28 years.
Yes, that is so awesome. And I know that your coffee company is the third largest coffee brand in the country, which is very exciting. And just kind of share with me a little bit about how you got started as being a founder and a leader.
Yeah, well, I mean, my story's pretty unique in that I was a barista in our very first store, and
Wow.
my business partner Bob Fish came to me after working there for a few months, and we went for a long walk throughout East Lansing, Michigan, where our company was founded. At the end of that walk, we shook hands and agreed that we wanted to become partners. We formed a new company, and that company would be the company that we would utilize to grow the brand and grow the company, Biggby Coffee.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that you started from scratch,
Yeah, oh yeah, minimum
literally.
wage barista. Yeah, it was a long time ago, but
Right. No, that is so impressive. And so, just as you are writing out just a practical guide, is what you really have to help other entrepreneurs and aspiring business owners get set up for success in their companies. So, kind of start off by giving us some practical tips that you like to share.
well, I think probably the biggest tip I have in my book, it's chapter one, and it really focuses around due diligence. But I think my interesting take on due diligence is that people spend you know hours and hours, hundreds of hours on due diligence before they start a business, but they leave out the most important due diligence they can do, which is due diligence on themselves. Because as the entrepreneur, as the founder, you are the most important ingredient in the success of your startup.
Right.
How you impact the people within your startup, how you manage, how you run the business is the most critical piece. So what I talk about is my book is not about whether you should or shouldn't become an entrepreneur. I think in my experience is that all personalities, all people, anybody can be successful as an entrepreneur. What it's about knowing your strengths, your weaknesses, doing enough reflection and becoming self-aware enough to know how you impact the business so you can leverage your strengths and complement and supplement your weaknesses. And that's really what it's about. And that's the whole point of chapter one. And then I go from there.
Right. And that due diligence perspective is just so important because it is kind of like a something that you have to work out first to understand your limits, to understand your strengths and your weaknesses, as you said. But why is that so important at the beginning of that journey? And should one continue to do those checks to reassess and evaluate the diligence that they are actually executing on their journey?
Well, I think it's really important to do it throughout your journey, but I think it's most important at the beginning, as you point out. And one of the reasons is that oftentimes you'll go into partnership with somebody, like my business partner and I. We've been together 28 years
Wow.
as partners, but the thing is, you don't want to partner with somebody that's just like you.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go into a partnership, you wanna bring things to the table that they don't, and vice versa. And so, but at the beginning as well, one of the key factors, and really it gets into chapter two of the book, is the first and most important thing you have to do is figure out how to generate revenue and sell and sell and sell, right? And so if that isn't your strong suit, and then you have to work really hard at figuring out how you're going to sell and how you're going to generate revenue, and that's kind of what I call the yellow blinking light in the due
Mm-hmm.
diligence process. Is if you're uncomfortable with that, you've got to figure out how to complement it.
Okay, and with you having your business partnership for over 20 years, which is so incredible, what is a tip that you would give when it comes to finding and really maintaining that relationship long term?
Well, it as in any relationship, we like to say, my partner and I like to say it, it's like we're married, and it's as complex of a relationship as a marriage maybe, but really it all starts with respect,
Yes.
and making sure that anytime I go into any circumstance, I'm always thinking about him. I'm thinking about how it's going to impact him. I was just in some meetings yesterday, and I said I one of the things that I do, and this is a good tip, right? This is a good life hack, is I always pretend like he's in the room with me. And
Mm-hmm.
how would he be responding to me? How would he be thinking about what I'm doing, how I'm
Hmm.
answering, how I'm doing in this interview, right? But I think it first of all starts with respect and bringing just an incredible amount of thoughtfulness and respect to the relationship.
Right. And in your book, you discuss an important thing that I think a lot of leaders have to do and maybe don't always assess, which is checking the ego. So share more
Yeah.
about that message.
Well, everyone has an ego. And, anytime I hear somebody say they don't have an ego, I immediately think, I mean, you're probably not too self-aware if you're
Right.
saying you don't have an ego.
That's the ego
But,
talking.
it's about understanding how ego is manifesting in your behaviors. That's what it's about. And so when your ego is chewing on you, or making you think a certain way, being able to understand that, and then make sure that you're acting and behaving in a way that's appropriate for a given situation, independent of your ego barking at you over here.
Mm,
That, to me, it's one of the most critical parts of leadership,
hmm.
is understanding how ego is impacting you, and then being able to counterbalance that.
Yeah, that's very important. And with your upcoming book, Grow, what can we expect from that?
Well, the book series, book one, Grind, takes you from the minute you decide to go into a business,
Hmm.
and it's the mentality you need in order to get to your first day of positive cash flow.
Mm,
Book two picks up in that, what I call bootstrapping entrepreneurial phase.
hmm.
And then it carries you through the journey all the way to what I call sustainability, which means the entrepreneur. So my partner and I in our business, we could both get run over by a bus tomorrow, and the business would continue to thrive. And so
Mm, wow.
it's this arc of a journey from bootstrapping entrepreneur through into strong leader, and then into irrelevance. And it's really a book on leadership, is what it is.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Mike, for stopping by and really just sharing with us some interesting and important information and a different perspective to being a leader and to having a successful company. So these were great tools that you shared. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. If you would like more information on Mike and his book Grind and his upcoming book Grow that will be dropping in June, we'll make sure to have his website information listed below, and we'll be right back.